media thought.
And to be honest with you, this is going to be a great PR thing for Trump. So how do things get leaked? They get leaked when people want you to know what might be happening. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, at the same time as this news came, like literally right before this news broke, there was a notice filed by Diddy's attorney, Alexandra Shapiro, who is in charge of his appeal. And they basically just put the court on notice that in 4 to 6 weeks, they're going to be appealing the sentence.
Diddy is once again at the center of a controversy, but this time the focus isn't just on his criminal case. It's on reports that former President Donald Trump has been privately discussing the possibility of granting him a presidential pardon. If those reports are accurate, the conversation raises far more questions than answers. Supporters may argue that clemency is simply part of the presidential process.
You know, let's have these for whoever the new AG is. Is this, you're right, is this a sign that this is going to be the approach?
That's right. And the other thing is that over the years now, some of these survivors, have been asked, are you ever going to name names? And they said, if it doesn't happen through the government, we will. And you wonder when that shoe drops.
While critics believe the timing deserves closer scrutiny, what makes this situation particularly interesting is that these discussions are reportedly taking place while investigators continue examining evidence connected to Diddy's wider legal troubles. For many observers, the issue isn't just whether Diddy could receive a pardon, but why the possibility is being discussed now. When the first headlines about a potential pardon appeared, many people dismissed them as another political rumor. However, as additional reports surfaced, the story became harder to ignore. At the same time, public attention shifted towards sensational topics such as alleged underground tunnels, secret societies, and long-running Hollywood conspiracy theories. While those stories generated countless headlines and social media debates, others argued that they distracted from the more significant questions surrounding Diddy's legal case and the possibility of executive clemency. Whether intentional or not, the conversation seemed to move away from the legal process and toward speculation. To understand why the pardon rumors attracted so much attention, it's important to look at the background of Diddy's case. Following federal investigations and coordinated raids on his properties in Los Angeles and Miami, he faced multiple serious criminal charges. During his trial, he was acquitted of the most severe allegations, including racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking, but he was convicted on 2 federal counts related.
With a civil case, it's a much lower standard of a preponderance of the evidence, or in more layman's terms, more likely than not, the measurement we as attorneys typically use for that is 51%. And so for a civil case, you're just saying, hey, is there a 51% chance that Sean Combs allegedly committed these acts? If so, he would be liable. In the federal case, which was criminal, that was proof beyond a reasonable doubt, where he is found guilty of those 2 counts you mentioned earlier, and is serving a 50-month sentence in Fort Dix, New Jersey.
The pardon discussion became even more surprising because earlier reports suggested that Donald Trump had no intention of granting clemency. According to previous interviews, Trump indicated that he was not considering a pardon, even after reports emerged that Diddy had requested one. For many, that appeared to settle the matter. However, later reporting from CBS News claimed that the issue had quietly resurfaced during private White House discussions concerning a broader list of potential pardons. According to those reports, officials were reviewing hundreds of clemency requests as part of a larger initiative tied to Independence Day celebrations. Although Diddy's name was reportedly being discussed, questions remained about why his case had returned to the conversation after earlier statements appeared to rule it out. Critics have pointed out that the reported discussions seem unusual, because Diddy was allegedly not included on the official recommendations prepared by the Justice Department's pardon review process. In other words, according to the reporting, the career officials responsible for evaluating clemency requests had not recommended his case. If accurate, that detail has fueled speculation about whether informal discussions were taking place outside the normal review process. It's important to note that no evidence has publicly confirmed wrongdoing, and discussions about potential pardons are not unusual within presidential administration.
Call out the president in court and expect the president to then return the favor with a pardon. I thought it was better to do it back channel and then end up.
Well, now we're going to find out.
Here's a
well, now we're going to find out if it was more effective.
Stop. No. Donald Trump wants somebody to bend the knee when they were his opponent,
Quite
which Diddy
publicly,
was.
yeah.
And all Diddy had to say
now. Nevertheless, the reports have prompted renewed political debate about transparency, fairness, and how high-profile clemency decisions are made. Another aspect of the story that captured public attention involved reports about Diddy's Los Angeles mansion. Following the federal raid, several media outlets, including Fox News, reported that the property contained an underwater tunnel connected to a grotto-style area beneath the estate. The existence of the structure itself has been widely reported, but its purpose has. One of the most talked about discoveries following the raid on Diddy's Los Angeles estate was the existence of an underwater tunnel leading from the swimming pool to a grotto-style area. The tunnel itself has been widely reported and is not the subject of serious dispute. However, what the tunnel was actually built for has never been publicly confirmed by investigators. Despite that lack of official information, the unusual design quickly fueled online speculation. Many people questioned why such a hidden passage existed at all, while others argued it was simply an architectural feature designed for privacy or entertainment. Without verified evidence explaining its purpose, the discussion quickly shifted from fact to speculation. Much of that speculation centered on the Playboy Mansion, which has a documented history involving underground tunnels. Historical blueprints discovered in a vault beneath the mansion reportedly showed planned tunnel connections to several neighboring celebrity properties, including homes once associated with Warren Beatty, Jack Nicholson, and James Caan. Those architectural drawings have been publicly documented, and former—
It's disgusting. Honestly, I've been grieving for the world, because the whole world is for people to have the attitude that they have right now about the stuff that's going on, the stuff that they're seeing.
Playboy staff members have acknowledged their existence. According to accounts from individuals familiar with the property, many of those tunnels were constructed during the 1970s and were later sealed in the late 1980s. While these historical facts are well documented, there is no verified evidence connecting Diddy's property to the Playboy Mansion's tunnel system, or suggesting that any underground network links the two estates. Even so, speculation continued after Diddy purchased the mansion in 2014. Singer Jaguar Wright has repeatedly claimed that Diddy selected the property because of alleged access connected to its underground features. She has argued that it would make more sense to purchase an existing property than to build such a system from scratch. However, these statements remain personal opinions and unv. Cassie's lawsuit was resolved through a settlement only one day after it was filed, a decision that generated significant public discussion. Although settlements do not represent admissions of guilt, many observers questioned the speed with which the case was resolved. Months later, surveillance footage from a Los Angeles hotel surfaced, showing Diddy physically assaulting Cassie in a hallway in 2016. After the video became public, Diddy released a statement acknowledging his behavior, saying he was disgusted by his actions and that he had sought therapy and treatment. The footage became one of the most significant publicly available pieces of evidence in the broader controversy surrounding his conduct. As Diddy's criminal trial moved forward.
Yeah, I think he's being humbled right now, which it took a long time. It takes a long time to humble an arrogant person.
Attention expanded beyond the charges themselves. During jury selection and witness testimony, numerous celebrities were mentioned because of their alleged connections to events, locations, or individuals discussed in court. It is important to note that being mentioned during testimony does not imply wrongdoing. Some names appeared simply because witnesses claimed they were present at certain locations or social events. Among those referenced during various stages of the proceedings were Michael B. Jordan, Mike Myers, Usher, and others. Their names surfaced in different contexts, but the overwhelming majority were not accused of criminal conduct. One of the more notable witnesses was rapper Kid Cudi, who testified about an incident that occurred after he briefly dated Cassie during a break in her relationship with Diddy. According to his testimony, his vehicle was destroyed in what investigators described as an act involving an incendiary device. Kid Cudi told the court that he believed the incident occurred after tensions developed over his relationship with Cassie. Diddy has denied responsibility for various allegations made against him throughout the legal proceedings, and the case included conflicting testimony from Mu. As the trial continued, even more well-known names surfaced during testimony, court filings, and evidence presented in the proceedings. It is important to emphasize that being mentioned in court or appearing in legal documents does not mean someone committed a crime. Many individuals were referenced because witnesses claimed they attended certain events, were present during specific incidents, or appeared in communications introduced as evidence. For example, Kid Cudi testified that his car was destroyed after he briefly dated Cassie during a break in her relationship with Diddy, and he described feeling fearful after the incident. Other celebrities, including Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Usher, Britney Spears, Chris Brown, Drake, Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, and Michael B. Jordan, were mentioned in various contexts during testimony or related legal proceedings. In most cases, these references did not involve criminal accusations against those individuals, but reflected their alleged presence at events or interactions discussed by witnesses. Attention also turned to Diddy's well-known parties, particularly his famous white parties, which for years attracted celebrities, athletes, musicians, and influential public figures. Over the years, several attendees have publicly shared their own experiences, often describing the events as extravagant and unlike any.
They come out and collect everybody's phone. So now it's just your word against a billionaire. You're gonna lose. Read this right there from that young man, 22 years old, music producer.
Thing they had seen before. Some recalled the parties as glamorous celebrity gatherings, while others suggested that the atmosphere became increasingly unusual later in the evening. These personal accounts have fueled public curiosity, but they should not be interpreted as evidence of criminal activity on the part of every guest who attended. Simply attending a party does not imply knowledge of or involvement in any alleged misconduct. Another widely discussed interview involved singer-songwriter Tana Wallace, who claimed she attended one of Diddy's parties in 2018. During her interview, she described seeing individual. Yani Main's transcript ko is form main rewrite nahi kar sakta kyunki ism living people ko bear main speculative or potentially defamatory claims hain. Jay's hidden back channels, motives, network, or celebrities ko involvement ko assertions. Main claims ko polisya amplifi nahi kar sakta. Lekin agar tum YouTube documentary bana rahi ho, Diddy has agreed to cooperate with prosecutors, or that
one could watch this and think that you really hate Sean Combs.
Why would you be thinking that?
Because of the things that you post on Instagram, because of the...
Look at this, and let's stop for a second and do say that I hated him enough to hire his kids. And we've never done anything to each other. So it's just competitive energy and things that you say about other artists while you're in hip-hop culture.
To main is hissa ko neutral, fact-based or voice-over-ready style main rewrite kar sakta hun. Ye version grammar correct hi. Timestamps remove kai gay hain. Or surf verified facts or clearly attributed claims par mabni hi. #### rewritten documentary paragraph. Voice-over-ready grammar checked. As the investigation continued, some commentators suggested that the case could have wider political implications. Diddy had previously received public recognition from New York City officials, including being presented with the city's key to the city by Mayor Eric Adams. Around the same period, other unrelated political investigations in New York were also attracting public attention, leading some observers to speculate about possible connections. However, there is no verified evidence that Diddy's criminal case formed part of a broader corruption investigation, and no official agency has publicly confirmed such a link. That broader speculation has fueled debate about reports that Donald Trump was privately considering whether to grant Diddy clemency. Supporters of the theory argue that an early release could prevent investigators from obtaining further cooperation from Diddy, while critics dismiss.
And the sentencing matches that, or did he just not make that connection?
No, he did acknowledge that the sentence that prosecutors were asking for, 11 years, was a bit of an overreach. The probation report recommended 60 months. So when you look at the probation report of 60 months, he comes up with 50 months. The prosecutors wanted 11 years behind bars. It's not quite in the middle, but it's a far cry from the 14 months.